All right, all right. We are back with the Wrestling Laureate podcast presented to you by the GSMC Podcasting Network. Just to kind of go through the rundown of what we talked about today. We had our AEW review. We had our Thursday Night Wrestling preview with the Ring of Honor as well as TNA Impact. And we had a little discussion about Ronda Rousey's comments toward the WWE, it being like an SHIT show. But to kind of finish it off, we're gonna start. We're gonna end with like a lighter note. Like we have Alicia Fox. Alicia Fox has been a legend in the WWE. Like when you see her, you're like, oh my god, whatever happened to her? Like she was so good. She had pretty good mic skills. She was a good wrestler, to a certain extent. But I don't know. I kind of miss seeing Alicia Fox on the tube, and I'm happy to see her. Kind of come back to the wrestling world. Alicia Fox hasn't been seen on the wrestling screen for over 2 years. I guess she's going to be wrestling under her new name of Vix Crow. She's set to face Mickie James at Stardom, so that should be pretty cool. Her event in Ballarat, Victoria, Australia, April 12th. So, make sure you tune in. This is her first singles match in about 5 years. Last time we saw her on the WWE screen was the 2022 Women's Royal Rumble. And honestly, I'm going to miss her based on just her resilience and just like because she was like kind of dorky and she was like, I don't know. She was fun to watch. She was kind of fun to root for. She was that lovable, like underdog. But then again, she can be that bad heel or like I said, she was in the manager kind of business kind of thing, so she would like help her superstars like win the match and just like I don't know. Alicia Fox, she's I hope the best for her. I wish the best for her, in the future endeavors, but it's just gonna be so weird not seeing her on the WWE screen. So and that she's was contracted with WWE for like 17 consecutive years. So she's been part like WWE did their part. They were, they were, honest with her. They were loyal to her. Like she was with the company for so 17 years is a long time, especially if you're like Alicia Fox who like I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, but kind of have like less accomplishments than like a lot of people on the women's roster, both NXT, SmackDown, and Raw. So I think kind of, WWE liked her and they, she liked WWE and they both like, they had this like trust, which is good, contracting skills to have, especially when you're trying to make a deal with like a superstar or like a potential client or like maybe like an ads deal or something like that. So she had an interview with Post Wrestling where she shared her emotions getting released from WWE. She said that she kind of felt relieved after leaving WWE. She said, I feel lighter in my heart, lighter in my soul. In that lifestyle, if you're conditioned to just go, like you're conditioned to be perfect, and they also just like you're conditioned to be a champion. And she said in the interview that every day was like you're leaving an airport, coming to somewhere new. And that kind of lifestyle is really tough, especially on someone who was very, she's very family oriented. I can imagine a lot of these superstars, like, see your kids for a long time. Award shows, guess what? You're going to miss that. You're going to miss your baby maybe saying their first words, maybe getting up and walking for the first time. And that's pretty rough, man. That's why I think these WWE superstars kind of don't get a lot of credit that they deserve. That they don't get paid as much as like baseball players, basketball players. Well, some basketball players, but a lot of these wrestlers like they don't top out at big money like that. And these guys are constantly away from home. Imagine living life hotel from hotel. Like you're not in your comfort zone. A lot of people like to come home, kick off your shoes. You kind of have this aroma, this kind of smell in the air that just they trigger, endorphins in your brain, that trigger in dopamines, and you're like, oh man, I'm home. Like I can, there's a certain amount of anxiety and stress that just probably pop out. Probably along with like a lot of, symptoms of depression as well. It's like being home or being in a comfortable spot. Like you guys are right now, hopefully listening to me battle on like an idiot, hopefully with a cold drink in your hand or some chips. I'm a chip guy, but I'm not a chip guy. My favorite snack are pretzels. Pretzels, ladies and gentlemen, are the best. A lot of people like rag on me. They're like, pretzels aren't a chip. And I'm like, dude, screw you, dude. Pretzels are awesome. So don't talk about pretzels like that. If you're right there smiling on the other side of the screen, talking crap, I'm just kidding. I'm talking crap on pretzels. Okay. Anyways, pretzels are good. That is all we have to say about Alicia Fox. I'm just kidding. Uh, so she wasn't really about that lifestyle. She, like I said, she felt relieved that she was out of WWE, which is, sometimes you're traveling. Like I said, she was contracted for 17 years. You're traveling for 17 years. It's nice to kind of, just kind of sit back and kind of do your thing. She debuted on SmackDown June 13th of 2008. I remember that was like once when the brand split was still relatively new. I think back in 2008 was once when WWE kind of launched their new ECW program where you had Bobby Lashley, you had the Big Show even on, and you had Mark, the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, just like go back and forth with the ECW World Championship. But it wasn't classic ECW. Like they brought back ECW, but it wasn't really extreme championship wrestling because it wasn't as hardcore. It was under the PG-13 kind of rules that that wrestling WWE is kind of constricted under. I think AEW is PG, and I think I said this in a prior podcast that that's the reason why they're kind of able to do these things where I see mostly just like dudes and like chicks, like not really any kids in the crowd. So it's kind of like more like more of like an adult program, but either way, pretty darn entertaining. So she debuted in June of 08. She was the first ever African American woman to win the Divas Championship. So that's that's pretty cool. It'll be one of the groundbreaking, monumental achievements that she has. That she can kind of hold herself high. That as someone from the minority race to kind of be the face of the company. She pinned Maurice, which was the Miz's girlfriend. Well, not wife. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Miz and Mrs. show on E. I don't even know if they're still airing it, but it's a pretty good watch. It's a pretty good watch. She was also on Total Divas. She was on Total Divas, one of the first ever like pilot episodes. Oh man, I don't even know if they're still doing that. I haven't watched regular television in so long. For me, it's either just sports, wrestling, or dorky comedy movies that play over and over again on TBS, TNT, FX. Or actually one of my favorite things to watch, especially on like a Sunday, because you have I think they know that people are home for Sundays. So FX will like have this kind of like this family movie thing. I like watching Grown Ups with Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Rob Schneider, David Spade, and Kevin James. I like watching the Grown Ups 1 and 2. But it's always on. It seems like it's always on. But moving on. So she was also a Ohio Valley Wrestling Women's Champion as well. And OVW is the kind of like a school. Well, I don't want to say school, like an academy, a performance center, I guess is the right terminology in terms of WWE. It's a performance center where they get these guys like all hyped up and ready to go on to the WWE. Like you had Brock Lesnar fight there, you had Alicia Fox, you had I don't know if Seth and Roman were part of it, but there's a lot of big names that run through there, and hey, they go on and they have illustrious careers, and once they do their due diligence, they're Hall of Famers, WWE Hall of Famers. She was also a WWE 24/7 champ. What happened to that belt? Is that belt still around? I hope it's not, because that belt was like kind of an abomination of belts in the history of titles in the WWE. No, I'm not going to get worked up. Don't get worked up. No, but that title was pretty silly, where it could be defended wherever, whenever. You had people hosting the wrestling and like the events, and sometimes they would win the championship. R-Truth hold it for the longest time. Sometimes where there'd be like a promo happening, you would just see R-Truth run around the ring, and you would see like just everybody like chasing him. And don't get me wrong, like it was entertaining as hell. So it served its part. But I don't know, man. Like it was kind of like I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Hardcore Championship. It was very very popular, like growing up, especially for me, back in the early '90s, early 2000s, and there was a point where the Hardcore Championship was changed to where it was defended 24/7, and that's where I think maybe like they kind of segued this thing where it was like absolute chaos that anybody could be the champion, anybody could be the champion. But I'm actually kind of glad it's not there anymore. I'm not trying to sound cynical. I'm not trying to be a know-it-all wrestling fan. I'm just sharing my opinions with y'all. And I hope you guys still will listen to me, even though I don't like the 24/7 championship. I beg you. Anyways, all right. So once again, thank you for tuning into the Wrestling Laureate podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us. So remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button, as well as follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. As always, guys, remember that we are one of the biggest entertainment like headquarters in the podcasting industry right now. There's a lot of podcasts besides sports, but if you want to catch sports, you can catch TJ on sports. You can catch the Andrew Tate show, which is pretty darn interesting if you haven't watched it yet. You have the podcasting tribal chief on there. You also have my boy Nelson with basketball, talking hoops. Yeah, Sam with baseball. Baseball's right around the corner, guys. So if you want to like brush up on your baseball facts and find out what happened in the off season, or to the point where you can go into a bar and watch an Angels game and have something in common with everybody else to talk about. I don't know, watch my boy Sam. On the baseball. It's very very good. Thank you once again, and have a phenomenal day.